You're watching UATV English. We broadcast from the heart of Europe, Ukraine's own. My name is Anna Nichenko. Hello and welcome. Impact of Western sanctions on the economy of Russia. This is our topic for today. The biggest drop in Russia was in the supply of iron, steel, precious metals. In the first quarter of the year, imports of non-energy goods decreased by more than 75% and energy by 80%. This was announced by the High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Josep Borrell.
Overall, EU exports of goods were 52% below the annual average before the war in 2022. EU exports on dual-use items and advanced technologies, which are essential to produce the equipment and weapons used by Russia to wage its war, dropped by 78% in 2022 compared to 2019-2021. Josep Borrell, High Representative of the European Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, from the article, "Yes, the sanctions against Russia are working."
According to the head of European diplomacy, car production in Russia fell by 84% over the year compared to the same period last year. Production of modern technologies by 8%.
Sanctions are the stopping of economic activities, freezing, for example, assets. And, as I understand it, the European Union is today thinking about the next step, to adopt appropriate legislation that would allow the assets of sanctioned countries, and this is the Russian Federation and Belarus, to be confiscated and transferred to Ukraine.
Russian businessmen are closely watching what the West will do next with their businesses, and some are quickly adjusting.
Today, approximately $300 billion belonging to the Central Bank of Russia, the Russian government and other government agencies are frozen in foreign banks. But as for personal sanctions today, the numbers are smaller. There are some estimates according to which the money of Russian oligarchs, and not only Russian oligarchs, reaches approximately 100 billion abroad. But they need to be looked for. This is a very difficult technical process.
Since the beginning of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the European Union has already introduced 11 packages of sanctions against the aggressor country. In addition, the European Union imposed a travel ban and froze the assets of more than 1,500 people and 250 organizations from Russia. European Union sanctions have already caused enormous damage to the Russian economy. The budget deficit of almost 3.5 trillion rubles is proof of this, and the West does not plan to stop. Work on the 12th package of restrictions is currently ongoing.
It seems to me that today the European Union lacks complete information. What has actually been frozen? How many such assets are beginning to be confiscated directly in the European Union? And the actual need to make a political decision.
Businesses leaving Russia, Putin's plans are falling apart. Beer giant Heineken has completely exited the Russian market. The Austrian bank Raiffeisenbank International and the insurance company Unica, the Japanese pharmaceutical conglomerate Takeda, the French group of companies Vela, which supplied components to Avtozas. All of them left the Russian market in the last week. Moscow is doing everything to prevent Western enterprises from leaving the Federation.
Some foreign companies trying to exit Russia are facing a big jump in costs as Moscow is demanding bigger discounts on the price tags of assets they want to sell. Russia has steadily tightened exit requirements since Western companies started leaving soon after Moscow began what it calls a special military operation in Ukraine in February 2022. Executives say navigating the rules is becoming harder. From a Reuters message.
Imported goods in Russia are becoming not only scarcer but also more expensive. Due to the fall of the ruble, products imported from abroad are growing in price. In other words, the Russians have the same amount of rubles, but they can buy much less with this money.
Since Russia has an import dependence on many groups of goods, respectively, these goods will either increase immediately at the ruble devaluation rate, or if they have only imported components, this will increase the cost of components, maybe not by the amount by which the ruble devalued, but it will still increase the cost of final goods.
Even Putin admitted that curbing inflation in Russia is the most important task. After all, prices are rising, including for the most necessary household appliances, transport services, stationery, food, and medicine. And these can affect not only the quality of life of Russians, but also its duration.
У них были открыты рынки, и очень долго, вы же видели, не выходили.
Their markets were open, and many pharmaceutical companies did not leave their market for a very long time. As long as there is a financial interest, many remain on the market. Now, even companies that tried to stay there until the very end are leaving. This means that the solvency of Russian medicine and the solvency of Russians is falling.
Thus, the Russian market is becoming more and more toxic for world-famous companies, and their excuses in the spirit of the Russians need our goods sound less and less. So sanctions are important. Their main goal to stop Russian aggression. And more explanations and details from my guest, Ivan Uz, PhD in Economy, Chief Consultant, Center of Foreign Policy, National Institute for Strategic Studies. Hello and welcome.
Welcome to you, Anna, and welcome to all of our audience.
Glad to see you. Are these opportunities to introduce new sanctions against Russia? Which exactly? What kind of sanctions can the European Union give more?
You know, there is a large scope of sanctions that actually could appear the nearest vicinity. Because now, yes, we have some sanction about some physical people, about some companies, about some products, but you know, even just a small example, the Russian region Kaliningrad. In fifth or sixth package of sanctions, it was a ban to send to Kaliningrad region goods that under sanctions before and the period after. But then European Union decided to change their sanctions and to say that no, you could send those products by railway, but you could not use roads. But you know, when you say that you could use the railways, it means that you could do the thing that you actually banned before. And I think that in nearest future, European Union, either in 12th package or 13th package, could return to that question and say that no, you should not give to Kaliningrad region all products prohibited before. Then another moment, it's people, I mean physical people from Russia, who are close to government, but who is not under sanctions, because we hear a lot of stories about a lot of relatives of Russian officials who are now living in Europe, who actually this summer was at or were at the resorts of south of France or some other resorts, but their husbands or fathers, they all participated in the work of Russian machine that killing Ukrainian people. That's why I think that it's an extremely large field of people from Russia who could be under those sanctions.
So sanctions work. They're working really. If so, why has Russia's economy barely changed in a year and a half?
You know, the main problem is that Russia economy is the 11th economy of the world. And furthermore, it's stay on their position even in the year 2022. Because real sanctions that start seriously damage Russia economy starts on the 5th of December, at the end of the previous year, when the European Union, jointly with their partners on G7, created those peak price for Russian oil. And when they created this peak price, it led to a situation when Russia started losing money on actually selling their oil. And that is a big problem, because Russia economy based on export of gas and oil. It's two main factors. Yes, they have steel, they have fertilizers, they have some diamonds, some I don't know, agriculture products, of course, wheat first of all. Nevertheless, for Russia economy, the energy sector, it's approximately 2/3 of their export revenues. And when Russia faced with the problem, when they could not sell oil to Europe and could sell it by ships to other countries, but according to not higher than peak price that those package established to them, I mean European sanctions established, it created a very big problem. And even Mr. Borrell, he said about a comparison of the year 2022 to 2021. I can give you a comparison of the first quarter of the 2023 and 2022. So Russian export to Europe decreased at 74%. European export to Russia decreased at 40%. But of course, Russia still has a lot of money, and at least they have a good some reserves. Their reserves actually becoming smaller and smaller, just because Russia needs to spend those money first of all for war, but secondly to preserve the economy afloat. And that's why the situation becoming for Russia even worse and worse. And that is a result actually of sanctions, and the fact that sanction is not stops. Furthermore, sanction is growing and growing, and we are not talking about eliminating of some package. We are talking about 12 and 13 package. And that is the main problem of economy when they lived in shock, expecting for next package of sanctions.
And on your opinion, the unstable ruble is a consequence of sanctions or the economic policy of the Kremlin, or both?
Stability of ruble, you should understand that when ruble appeared at the point 100 per $1, then even 101 probably it was a bike price for $1, then it's a little bit improved situation. Now we have 96 ruble per dollar. But why it happened? Because the Russian central bank decided to increase the main rate of those country. But if you looked even Russian economists, who are not pro-Kremlin economists, but who analyzed those economy from actually economic point of view, for example, Mr. Potapenko, he directly say that according to his estimation, the current increase of the main rate, it's not a final one, and he projected that at the September, so month that starts actually tomorrow, Russia should change those rate. Now it's 12%, and according to his estimation, it will be 17%. Just because the problem is not solved, and according to him, the current stabilization of ruble based on the fact that market believed to promises of the Central Bank of Russia, of government of Russia, that they do something. In September, according to his analytical research, this attempt can fail, because now they only believe that something happened. When they see that nothing happened, it means that the pressure returned, and as a former deputy minister of energy of Russia, Mr. Milov, say that he can, at the end of September, so in a month, can have even something like a parry, that in beginning of the next year, the exchange rate could be even 200 rubles per dollar, just because the factors that have pressure on the currency. And what are the factors? Problems in for foreign trade, large import, because export decreased, import returned to previous volumes, but cost more due to necessity to build parallel import. Then the pressure for budget, because budget now actually has from traditional for Russia positive saldo, now they have negative saldo, and from profit side country Russia turned into a deficit country. It means that they should post more rubles. And actually, that's always great problem when you posting your currency without explanation of why you're doing that. And another moment, it's the fact that after Prigozhin riot, the factor of internal stability in Russia disappeared, and all those factors actually have the pressure on the Russian national currency.
One more important thing, when will sanctions be introduced against the third countries through which imports to Russia are currently going?
Absolutely good question, because before even the start of the 11th package, Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the European Commission, she said that the European Union now at that moment they're watching for statistics of trade of goods that is prohibited for Russia, and if they saw that it will be increase in export of those goods to some third countries, and then find out that third countries give it to Russia, it means that there will be prohibition for export of those goods to countries who help to Russia to organize parallel import. So I wish to see that in 12 or at least in 13 package, but nevertheless I understand that the war going on. And I think that after solving all moment, after talks with their partners, the European Union and the other G7 countries and countries that orient on the G7 countries' decision, like Norway, like Switzerland, like South Korea, like Australia and New Zealand, all those countries imposed those bans for third countries who help Russia with the sanctions.
Ivan, thanks a lot for all your explanations. I'll remind to our viewers it was Ivan Us, PhD in Economy, Chief Consultant, Center for Foreign Policy, National Institute for Strategic Studies. And it was UATV in English. We broadcast from the heart of Europe. Thank you that you're watching, and see you.